anime begins with a mother taking her children to kindergarten, and everything seemed completely normal. But suddenly, without any warning, a screen appeared above every person's head displaying their level. Of course, no one understood what was happening. Then suddenly, the sky split open, and a terrifying monster emerged from it. The shocking part was that the monster's level was 55, while the boy named Haru was level 1, and his little sister Vivi was level 2, which meant they were literally standing there completely helpless. Naturally, as soon as the people saw the monster, they ran away as fast as they could, but the monster didn't let them escape. It quickly began destroying buildings, chasing the people, and killing them mercilessly. Screams echoed everywhere, and bodies were thrown through the air in a horrifying scene. At that moment, the mother was holding her 2 children and running with them. She stopped for a moment, and Haru told her he was afraid the monster would kill them. She reassured him, saying, "Don't worry, my son. The most important thing I want from you is to always protect your sister. No matter what happens, stay by her side and never leave her." The boy hugged his sister innocently and promised his mother that he would protect her. Then the mother left them and walked toward the monster, which was speaking with contempt, saying that humans were as weak as ants. Suddenly, the mother's expression changed, and in an instant, her form transformed. Without hesitation, she charged at the monster with all her strength. She delivered rapid and extremely powerful blows, surprising the monster with her strength. But the monster quickly focused and launched an explosive attack at her. She activated a magical shield that blocked the attack, but the force of the strike shattered the shield within moments. The monster rushed toward her at full speed and attacked again, but she blocked it and delivered a powerful blow that sent it crashing into a wall. When the monster looked at her, it noticed the weapon she was holding and said, "That weapon must be the source of your power. Hand it over immediately." The mother replied firmly, "Impossible." But at the same time, she realized that the monster's level was far higher than hers, and that her death was only a matter of time. So she made a fateful decision to sacrifice herself. She gave her children one last look, then flew high into the sky and used her staff to create a massive explosion that, sadly, resulted in her death. But the monster disappeared as well. Days and years passed after that incident, and the scene shifts to the academy where our hero Haru now studies. He had grown into a strong young man. The teacher explained that when the first crack appeared in the sky long ago, many more began appearing afterward. Monsters started emerging from these cracks. These monsters come from another world and enter the human world through those rifts. However, humans somehow gained great magical powers that allowed them to fight and eliminate these monsters. Even so, the danger still exists, because a new rift could appear at any time. That's why specialized teams dedicated to hunting monsters have spread across the world, and they recruit students to help fight these creatures. At this academy, students learn how to raise their levels. Haru was one of them, but he was still only level 3. After the lecture ended, Haru walked out, but 3 students stopped him. They began bullying him because of his low level. They mocked him, saying that since he joined the academy, his level hadn't increased even once, and that his strength was no different from that of a child. 2 of them were level 4, and the third was level 5. Suddenly, one of them said, "You're just a burden on society," then grabbed him and started beating him. Haru tried to block the blows, but it was useless. He really was as weak as they said. But the complete opposite of him was his sister Vivi, who suddenly arrived and struck the bully with a powerful punch that sent him crashing into the wall. It turned out that she was level 7. The bullies saw this and quickly ran away, but before leaving, one of them said to Haru, "You'll stay weak your whole life and keep depending on your sister, you loser." After that, Vivi told her brother not to care about what they said, and suggested they go to their father who was waiting for them. They went to a restaurant where they celebrated Haru's birthday with their father. His sister asked him to make a wish. He closed his eyes and wished to become strong enough to protect his sister and his family and to fulfill his mother's promise. But before he could blow out the candle, a sudden explosion occurred. A rift appeared in the sky, and a monster came out and began killing the people. Some fighters arrived to battle it, but their levels were lower than the monsters, so it killed them all. Haru's father opened his eyes and told him to take his sister and run away. Then he changed his form and activated his power. His body grew larger, and he attacked the monster. The monster was level 12, while the father was level 9, so the monster was much stronger. The monster struck him with a powerful blow that sent him flying. When Vivi saw that, she became furious and attacked the monster as well, but it wasn't affected and moved toward her to kill her. At the last moment, Haru stepped in and stopped it, telling his sister to take their father and escape, but she refused. He told her that if she stayed, they would all die. But the monster suddenly struck him with a powerful blow to the middle of his body. His sister screamed as the monster sent Haru flying. Haru could barely move, and he said to himself, "I'm sorry, Mom, I couldn't keep my promise." Then he closed his eyes. Did he die? Is this the end? Of course not. Suddenly, he found himself in a different place and heard a voice saying, "Game Master System activated." He felt an enormous energy entering his body. When he opened his eyes, he used fire magic with incredible power and attacked the monster. Then he summoned a sword from the system. His sister watched in shock. Haru had been the weakest student in the academy, and she was always the one protecting him. But now he had saved her with tremendous power. The monster stood up angrily and said, "Impossible. Someone at level 3 can't defeat me." The monster attacked, but Haru's speed had become incredible. He struck it repeatedly until the monster became overwhelmed and unable to defend itself. Then Haru slashed it with his sword and unleashed an enormous amount of fire magic. The monster's life energy dropped drastically, so it decided to absorb the energy of nearby humans through red threads that came out of its body. After absorbing the energy, it not only recovered, but its level increased to 15. The monster attacked quickly and dealt Haru a severe injury, dropping Haru's life energy to less than 10%. Suddenly, he heard the system asking if he wanted to use a rare skill. He immediately agreed. His power increased again, and he attacked the monster with a skill called Crimson Flame. The monster said in shock, "Impossible? You're not an ordinary human. Who are you?" At that moment, Haru finally defeated it. After the battle, Haru collapsed unconscious. When he woke up, he found himself in front of the system screen, informing him that he had gained 20,000 experience points, which he could use to upgrade his abilities such as physical strength, speed, and other skills. Haru looks around in shock, wondering what is happening. The system responds, "When you were placed in extreme danger, the seal on your power was released and your system was activated. You now possess a character called the Crimson Emperor, which grants you tremendous combat abilities and immense magical power that you can continuously develop. Because you defeated the monster, you have reached level 10, and you can now use experience points to raise your level." Of course, Haru immediately uses those points, raising his level to 12. But when he looks at his status panel, he discovers that his level is still displayed as level 3. The system explains that the level shown to other people is level 3, but in reality he is level 12, and his power is equivalent to that of a fighter at that level. It seems things are finally working in your favor now, Haru. The boy feels extremely happy. At last he has become strong and is no longer weak like before. From that moment on, he decides to prove himself and develop his abilities even further. After that, he exits the system and returns to the real world, where he finds himself in a hospital. He walks through the hallway until he reaches his father's room. There, Vivi is begging the doctor to treat their father, but the doctor responds harshly. "If you can't afford the treatment costs, then why did you come here? You poor people." Even so, Vivi continues pleading with him and tells him she will sell their house. She asks him to wait a little until she can find a buyer, but the doctor firmly refuses and tells her to get away from him, then pushes her backward. Haru had seen everything. He felt furious, but he controlled himself and acted rationally. He walks up to the doctor and says, "Take this crystal. This crystal, my friend, is the one that came from the monster Haru killed." The doctor is shocked and says that this crystal came from a very powerful monster, and it's impossible that someone as weak as a level 3 fighter could have killed it. Haru calmly replies, "Whether I killed it or not doesn't matter. What matters to you is getting paid." The doctor thinks for a moment and takes the crystal, but it is still hot since it had just come out of the monster, so it burns his hand. Even so, he takes advantage of the situation and says the crystal alone is not enough. He also demands an additional 500,000 yen. a clear case of exploitation. Since their father is seriously injured, Haru refuses to take him out of the hospital and says to the doctor, "Give me 3 days and I'll bring the money." But the doctor refuses and replies, "You only have 1 day, otherwise, your father will be as good as dead." Then he leaves. At that moment, Vivi tells her brother that collecting $500,000 in a single day is almost impossible. Even if they tried to sell the house, they wouldn't find a buyer that quickly. But Haru reassures her and says he will participate in tomorrow's competition at the academy. He heard that the prize this year is extremely large. Vivi likes the idea and says she will participate as well. But Haru confidently replies, "Stay here. I'll be the one who enters. Honestly, anyone who sees you now, Haru, would never believe that you were weak just a few minutes ago." Meanwhile, the doctor had been secretly standing nearby, spying on them and listening to their conversation. After hearing Haru speak confidently about winning the competition, suspicion begins to grow in his mind. So he contacts someone through his watch and says that a strange person has appeared and needs to be monitored. The rest of the day passes, and the next morning Haru goes to the academy where the competition is about to begin. The competition is supervised by a very powerful family that funds it and provides the prize. The eldest daughter of that family has personally come today. Her name is Kiri. As for the prize, it is 1,000,000 coins. When the students hear the amount, they shout in excitement. But Kiri surprises them even more when she announces that the winner will join one of the 6 strongest fighter teams in the world, the Mogong team. In short, the competition begins immediately. The students will be transported to a mysterious forest, and the winner will be the one who manages to kill the green monster, which is level 15. Some students feel afraid, others are nervous. While there is a third type, like that arrogant student who used to bully Haru, who confidently declares that victory is guaranteed for him. As for Haru, he stands calmly, filled with confidence. The moment the competition is announced and the portal opens to transport them into the forest, he becomes the first person to enter it. The students are surprised by this and begin paying attention to him. Even Kiri focuses on him because she had heard the news that he defeated the spider monster despite his low level. And just like that, everyone's eyes turn toward our hero. The scene then shifts inside the forest, where Haru is defeating small spiders using fire magic. He notices that his level increases slightly with every battle, but he wants to reach the leader of these spiders. So he follows a group of them until he sees a beautiful girl from the same academy. However, she had fallen into a spider trap and was tied up with its threads. She asks him for help. He tells her to lower her voice, then quickly approaches and uses fire magic to burn the threads binding her. But she falls from above, and when Haru tries to catch her, he also falls into the trap and they both drop down together. Now both of them are trapped. Haru reacts quickly and burns the web that connects them to the tree, then tries to cut the threads binding them. At that moment, the giant spider arrives and attacks them. Without hesitation, Haru blocks its attack with fire magic. The monster charges toward them, and the two struggle to dodge while it continues chasing them. Moments later, the girl manages to cut the threads, and Haru is finally free. The monster rushes toward him, but Haru delivers a powerful strike that sends it flying away. The monster tries to attack again, so Haru picks up the girl and dodges the blow. Then he confidently says that now it's his turn. He dashes forward at full speed. His strength and speed have now become almost 10 times greater than before, maybe even more. He begins slaughtering the small spiders mercilessly, but the giant spider attacks him with webs coming from every direction. Haru quickly grabs Tara and moves away, while the other students fail to notice the danger and easily fall into the monster's grasp. As for Saki, he manages to free himself, but when he rushes toward the monster, he suddenly finds himself surrounded by poisonous fog. He uses a skill that resists poison so he can breathe, but suddenly he sees his teammates screaming for help. In reality, they were illusions created by the monster. Saki had begun hallucinating because of the fog. At that moment, Haru intervenes, destroying the smaller monsters and telling the remaining students to run away. Everyone surrenders and leaves. Now it's time for the final confrontation. The monster charges toward Haru with fast and powerful attacks, but Haru skillfully dodges every strike with remarkable precision. Suddenly, he counterattacks using a fire barrier, but the monster manages to block the attack at the last second. Haru immediately takes advantage of the moment and appears right behind the monster. For the final time, he activates his fire magic, summons his sword, and unleashes a massive strike that splits the monster in half. And just like that, Haru is officially declared the winner of the competition. But immediately afterward, Saki appears, still alive. Furious about Haru's victory, he suddenly attacks him. However, Haru quickly overpowers him as well and forces him to surrender. Saki is then removed from the forest. Now the only ones left in the competition arena are Haru and Tara. Tara congratulates Haru on his victory, and Haru gives her the item that dropped from the green monster, since it is a tool meant for healers and he has no use for it. Tara becomes very happy and thanks him, but suddenly, the ground begins to crack, and a voice announces that a malfunction has occurred in the area and that everyone must immediately leave the forest and return to the real world. A countdown begins before the gate closes. Haru grabs Tara's hand and they run as fast as they can, but she stumbles and falls, telling him to leave her and escape alone. Haru refuses. He pulls her up and throws her through the gate first. Then he runs at full speed and jumps through the gate just before it closes. But when he opens his eyes in the real world, he finds himself back at the academy, except that the academy is completely destroyed. He doesn't understand what happened until he hears someone approaching. Haru immediately uses his camouflage skill and disappears. After a moment, he sees the source of the sound, two soldiers talking. At that moment, the system speaks and informs him that Kiri's family has many enemies, including a group known as the Black Tiger Organization. Haru quickly understands the situation and concludes that Kiri has been kidnapped and that the Black Tiger group has taken control of the school. And indeed, his guess is correct. One of the group's leaders is in the main hall, with several students tied up with ropes. At that moment, they also capture Tara, tie her up, and bring her to the leader, who begins beating her for no reason. When Saki sees this, he becomes furious and rushes toward the leader, pushing him away. But the leader becomes angry and attacks Saki. At first, Saki manages to dodge the attacks, but eventually he receives a powerful blow that makes him bleed, and the situation only worsens. In a sudden moment, the leader pulls out a gun and points it at Saki, who has no idea what to do. The bullet is about to be fired. Saki is about to die. But suddenly, the leader notices that all of his soldiers have fallen to the ground. Before he can understand what's happening, he realizes that he himself is bleeding. Haru has arrived at the perfect moment. The leader collapses to the ground. Haru walks toward Saki, who assumes he is about to be killed by the very person he used to bully. But the surprise is that Haru doesn't kill him. Instead, he frees him from his restraints and gives him a weapon. Saki doesn't understand why Haru helped him, but he accepts the weapon, walks toward the leader, and finishes him off. Afterward, he tries to return the weapon to Haru, but Haru refuses and tells him to keep it because it will be useful. Feeling embarrassed, Saki asks, "Why are you suddenly being nice to me?" Haru simply replies, "If you don't want it, give it back." Saki quickly says he'll keep it and thanks him. Then he declares that he wants to become Haru's subordinate, but Tara immediately objects, saying she is the only subordinate Haru has. The two of them begin arguing about who will be Haru's true follower. Meanwhile, Haru seems amused by the situation. He tells them it doesn't matter much to him, but they must first prove themselves by defeating the soldiers and rescuing as many people as possible. Tara then asks Haru where he is going. He tells her that he is going to rescue Kiri. Then he leaves. The scene shifts to two soldiers who are taking a short break. When they stand up, one of them notices that the other is standing still. When he approaches, he realizes that his neck has been cut and he is already dead. The second soldier prepares to attack, but suddenly Haru appears behind him and tells him not to move. Haru demands that he reveal the location where they are holding Kiri, but before the soldier can speak, a very powerful man suddenly appears and attacks Haru. Haru barely manages to block the attack and falls to the ground, pretending to be dead. But the man, who turns out to be the vice commander, points his gun at Haru's head to shoot him. Suddenly, A strange flash of light blocks his vision. When the light disappears, Haru has vanished. The vice commander calls several soldiers. When they arrive, they spot Haru and immediately attack him. Haru barely manages to escape. Then the vice commander, whose name is Red, attacks him using machines that fire a massive amount of bullets. Haru is forced to retreat quickly. At one moment, he counterattacks using fire magic and his sword. But Red's armor is extremely strong and remains unaffected. Red then fires a powerful beam from his armor toward Haru. Haru barely manages to dodge the attack, but he is injured and extremely exhausted. Still, Red continues attacking with his strongest techniques. Haru nearly collapses. He is bleeding heavily, and his strength is fading. So he asks the system for help. The system tells him he must raise his level using his points. Haru immediately agrees. The points are used to increase his level, granting him a new skill called Explosion, and his defensive power increases as well. At that exact moment, Red attacks again. Haru activates magical shields and successfully blocks the attack. Red is shocked because he believed Haru had already died. He orders all the soldiers to open fire. Hundreds of bullets fly toward Haru, but he leaps left and right, dodging them all. He then strikes one soldier and attacks the rest with fire magic, knocking them all down except for Red. But that doesn't last long. Haru suddenly attacks Red from behind, striking him with a powerful fire blast and then a flaming punch that shatters his armor. Red cannot understand what just happened, but Haru doesn't give him time to think. He lands two powerful punches to Red's face and then throws him into a nearby tree. And just like that, victory belongs to Haru. At that moment, Red becomes desperate and begs Haru to spare him. He gives him a key and tells him about a chest that can be opened with it. Haru goes to that location. When he opens the chest, the system screen appears, informing him that he has gained 35,000 experience points. The chest is filled with loot and items, such as a prison key, an item called Medusa's Tears, 10 ancient magic crystals, and many other treasures. Afterward, Haru enters the system once again and discovers that he has unlocked a new character. As you may remember, he had previously unlocked the character Crimson Emperor, which grants him powerful combat abilities and immense magical energy. But now, because of the huge amount of experience he gained, he has unlocked a new character called Moss. Haru becomes excited and decides to try the character immediately, but he soon discovers that he cannot use magic with it. The system then explains that this character does not specialize in combat power. Instead, it specializes in engineering, magic technology, gemstone science, and other advanced knowledge. At that moment, an old robot appears, one that once belonged to the character Moss. The robot seems angry because Haru was mocking the abilities of its former master, and it begins explaining the unique skills that Moss once possessed. Haru says to him, "Since your former master was skilled in magic, you must also have some special abilities." The robot replies that it can combine objects. So Haru gives it 2 items, and it successfully merges them and creates a new tool. The robot keeps boasting about its skill, so Haru hands it some scraps and says, "Put these things together and make me anything." Then he leaves and walks away. After that, Haru heads to the hall where Kiri was being held, along with the man who was demanding that she hand over certain information and maps, but she refuses. So he tells her that no one will come to save her, because her guards have been turned to stone, and the only way to restore them is by using an item called Medusa's Tears. When Haru hears that, he immediately pulls out the item and uses it on them, but nothing happens, so he increases the amount. Yet still there is no effect at all. At that moment, the man, whose name is Ling, has completely run out of patience, so he charges toward Kiri to attack her. But at the last second, Haru intervenes with incredible speed and creates a powerful shield to protect her. And if you're wondering how he was able to fight even though he had chosen a non-combat character, the answer is simple. He can switch between characters and use whichever one he wants, and he can also develop each character separately. Meanwhile, Ling unleashes a devastating attack, destroying the area. But Haru has already grabbed Kiri and jumped down with her. Kiri thanks him, but he replies, "Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not going to let you die before you give me the 1,000,000 coins." Then he adds that he will fight that man now, but not for free, because he wants even more money. Kiri says to him, "If you get me out of here safely, I'll give you 10 million coins." Haru immediately replies, "Deal, let's go." After that, Haru attacks Ling with fire, but Ling emerges from the flames and lands a powerful blow on Haru that sends him flying away. However, Haru is not easy to defeat. He gets back up holding a sword and shield, and begins fighting Ling skillfully with them. Ling also starts using his swords, and an intense battle breaks out between them. Then Ling lands a violent rocket-like strike on Haru, hurling him into the wall and reducing his energy by 20% in a single hit. At that moment, Haru uses the tool the robot had made for him earlier and throws it at Ling. It successfully binds Ling, and his energy starts decreasing gradually. But Ling breaks free from it with great ease and attacks fiercely, causing Haru's power to drop noticeably. With great difficulty, Haru frees himself and throws the same tool at Ling again, but Ling escapes from it just as he did before. The difference this time, however, is that Haru had obtained a new weapon from the robot. So he charges at Ling using that weapon, and Ling quickly dodges it. But when Ling turns around again, Haru is no longer near the weapon, because Haru has appeared directly behind him, then drives the sword into his body. Ling finally begins to bleed, but at the same moment, he also manages to wound Haru with his own sword. Now Haru falls to the ground, unable to move. At this point, Ling should have lost, but he surprises everyone by using an item he had previously bought for an extremely high price. That item is an injection that fully restores his energy and also transforms him. The moment he injects himself with it, he is completely healed and turns into a terrifying monster. He walks toward Haru, grabs him, and begins choking him. He is about to kill him. Unfortunately, Haru is unable to do anything because he has literally exhausted all of his energy. But was that the end for him? Of course not. Kiri's two assistants manage to free themselves, then attack Ling and hit him with a tremendous blow that sends him flying away. After that, one of them heals Haru. As soon as Haru stands up again, he sees that Ling can barely move, so he finishes him off completely. Afterward, Kiri asks him to join the Mogong team. And by the way, the family that owns this team is Kiri's own family. At first, Haru refuses, but Kiri explains to him that if he joins, he will receive very rare weapons and tools, and in addition, he and his family will live permanently in the nobles' districts, which are the most protected places in the world. In short, the idea of monsters invading those areas is almost impossible, meaning it would be a life of safety and luxury. So Haru agrees, and Kiri gives him the black card that officially proves his membership. After that, Haru goes to see his father in the hospital, where his sister Vivi is also present. The moment the hospital staff see the black card, their entire attitude toward Haru changes. They move his father to the cleanest room in the hospital, bring them fruit, and take care of everything. Even the hospital director personally comes and apologizes to Haru for all the trouble he has experienced. Then he gives Haru his own personal card and tells him that the treatment will now be completely free. He also orders the nurses to bring the best medicine available in the hospital for Haru's father, and they immediately rush off to do so. Meanwhile, Vivi is full of suspicion, so she says to Haru, "Could it be that you and Kiri are?" But Haru quickly interrupts her, embarrassed, and says, "Of course not. I got the card because I joined the Mogong team." A little later, the nurses return and say that there is an emergency. All the important medicines have been stolen from the hospital, and only a few simple drugs remain. The director is shocked and asks how such a thing could have happened. At that moment, Haru switches to the Moss character, and the robot appears again. Of course, no one can see it except Haru, who asks it to create a powerful antidote to replace the stolen medicines. The robot replies that it will be difficult, but it will try. After that, Haru asks the director about the remaining medicines and whether they can still be useful. The director tells him that what is left are merely painkillers, nothing more, while the medicines that actually treat the real cause of the illness have all been stolen. He also suspects that whoever stole them will sell them on the black market. So Haru has no choice but to go look for them and try to buy them as quickly as possible. Haru agrees, and he actually does that. Before long, he finds someone offering to sell the same medicines that were stolen. When night falls, Haru goes to meet the seller and takes his sister with him. They walk together until they reach the specified location. As soon as they arrive, Vivi immediately rushes toward a box and says, "I'm sure the medicines are in here." Haru tries to warn her that it might be a trap, but it is already too late. Suddenly, a strange gas explodes around them and surrounds each of them, trapping them completely. Haru quickly tries to switch from the Moss character to the Crimson Emperor, but the system informs him that the gas is poisonous and weakens the connection between them, meaning he cannot change characters for the moment. And that wasn't even the biggest problem. Suddenly, the person behind everything appears. The biggest shock is that it is the same despicable Dr. Gruol. Haru tells him that he suspected him because no one could steal the medicines except someone working in the hospital. The doctor laughs maliciously and says that they have finally fallen into his trap. But suddenly, without warning, bombs are thrown at him. He barely manages to dodge them. Then a beautiful girl appears and attacks him fiercely, striking him left and right until he can no longer resist. Haru asks her name. She replies, "My name is Sue." Then he asks, "Why did you save us?" She answers that the doctor is a personal problem between the two of them. After that, Sue throws a strange device at the smoke barrier, and it completely shatters. Haru immediately takes advantage of the moment, grabs his sister, and gives her an antidote that restores a large portion of her energy. The antidote had been created by the robot. At that moment, Haru notices the doctor trying to escape, so he and Sue rush after him at full speed. A chase begins between them. Haru tries to activate the system during the pursuit, but unfortunately it is temporarily malfunctioning. Still, he leaps across buildings and blocks the doctor from the front, while Sue blocks him from behind, but the doctor uses a teleportation device that sends him back to the same location he had been in earlier. Haru immediately runs toward his sister, and just as he expected, he finds the doctor holding her and threatening him. "Don't come any closer, or I'll kill her." Before Haru can move or even step forward, a new young man suddenly appears and delivers a powerful kick to the doctor, then gently catches Vivi and places her safely on the ground. Vivi asks him his name. He replies, "My name is Shin." Haru thanks him for saving his sister. Then he walks toward the doctor and delivers a massive punch that slams him violently into the wall. Before continuing the beating, Haru takes the medicine from the doctor's pocket, then resumes beating him mercilessly. But suddenly, the four of them freeze in place, unable to move. Someone nearby is using a magical ability that affects their minds. At that moment, the system sends Haru a message saying that if he wants to remove the effect of the spell, he must spend 10,000 points. Of course, Haru immediately does so. Then the person behind everything finally appears. He intends to take the doctor and escape, but the doctor, before leaving, returns to retrieve his own antidote. As the saying goes, greed ruins everything. At that moment, Haru has already freed himself from the control and regained his ability to move. He almost attacks immediately, but the mysterious man uses his powers again. Haru removes the effect once more and charges forward without hesitation. However, the man manages to escape at the last second. Worse still, he leaves the doctor behind. The doctor begins begging Haru desperately not to kill him, but in a flash, he suddenly grabs the strange injection. Haru reacts instantly and kills him with his sword. Finally, the wretched man responsible for all the chaos is gone. After all of this, Sue invites Haru to attend an auction with her, and he agrees. Haru drives his sister home first, then goes with Sue to the auction. The auction takes place in a strange location known as the closed room. All the participants wear cloaks that hide their identities. The man standing at the front announces the items, and whoever offers the highest price wins them. Then the auction begins. The first item is a set of rare magic crystals, and they are purchased by a certain person. When Haru sees him, he says that he looks very similar to Shin. So he immediately switches to the Moss character's abilities. The robot appears and confirms his suspicion. The buyer really is Shin. Haru then asks the robot if it can help him during the auction. The robot replies, "Of course, I can analyze every item and rate it with 5 stars," Haru says. Alright then, show me what you can do. The second item turns out to be a powerful energy restoring antidote, but the robot tells him it isn't worth buying, because if Haru develops the Moss character, he will easily be able to create something like it himself. However, just like before, the person who buys it is Shin again. Strangely, he purchases items worth millions of coins, which makes Haru wonder, where did this young man get all this money? There must be a big secret behind him. The third item is a magic cloak that can fly. But the robot explains that it can only fly for 5 consecutive minutes, so it deserves no more than 2 stars. Even so, Haru is very interested in it and wants to try it. But the robot advises him to be wise and not spend all his money without thinking. Haru listens to the advice. The surprising part is that Shin also buys the cloak. Then the fourth item appears, an artificial heart, priced at 2 million coins. When people hear the price, they say there is no engineer skilled enough to use it properly, so it is nothing more than useless junk. But when the robot sees it, it says it is extremely valuable and priceless. It tells Haru that he could benefit greatly from it because it would activate the true abilities of the Moss character. Without hesitation, Haru decides to buy it. When Sue asks why he bought such junk, he simply replies that he likes machines. Then the final item is presented. It is the most expensive and valuable item in the auction, the Elixir of Absolute Power. This elixir restores a person's energy completely within seconds if their energy reaches 0 and they are on the verge of death. It does have side effects, such as turning the user into something like a bloodthirsty zombie, but it is extremely rare and almost impossible for anyone to manufacture. Haru asks the robot whether he could create such an elixir if he developed the Moss character. The robot replies that it would be impossible. In the end, the person who buys the elixir is Shin once again, shocking everyone by paying 300 million coins. With that, the auction ends. Haru returns to the real world and heads home. By coincidence, he meets Shin on the street. Shin tells him that he noticed Haru's interest in the cloak earlier, so he decided to give it to him as a gift. Haru can't believe it and says, "How could I accept it? It's extremely expensive." But Shin replies that it's just a simple gift, hands it to him, and leaves. Later, Haru enters the system and switches to the Moss character, then begins examining the properties of the artificial heart he bought. After finishing the analysis, he decides to use it immediately to create a giant humanoid robot. The process begins. He selects the robot's type and external appearance, designing it to resemble his mother. But something strange goes wrong. Unfortunately, the robot's appearance changes completely and does not end up looking like Haru's mother. Still, the result isn't bad. In fact, the robot looks very cute and beautiful. As soon as it sees Haru, it runs toward him and hugs him, saying, "From now on, you are my master." Haru replies that he doesn't mind. But deep inside, the robot secretly thinks, "I will control this world. What a new disaster." Just as one problem ends, another one appears. After that, Haru took her to their house and decided to have her work there. He introduced her to his sister and father and told them that from now on her name would be Nana, and that she would handle all the housework. The very first task he gave her was washing the dishes. Since Nana was short, she stood on a chair so she could wash them properly. She was extremely annoyed, practically boiling with rage, because her true goal was to conquer the world, not wash dishes. But when Haru asked her if she was happy, she smiled innocently and said, "Of course." After that, Vivi started assigning her more chores, such as mopping the floor, washing clothes, and other tasks. Inside, Nana was dying of anger and saying to herself, "You're all just stupid humans." And so that day came to an end. The next morning, Haru returned to the academy, which had already been completely repaired. The principal stood before everyone and said that when the attack happened and Miss Kiri was kidnapped, the only person who saved her was the student Haru, who was also the winner of the competition, and therefore he deserved to be honored. At that moment, Haru stepped forward toward the principal, while all the students stared at him in disbelief. They said in shock, "How is this weak guy, who is still only level 3, being honored?" Tara was standing there, clearly annoyed by their words, but before she could answer them, Saki handled it perfectly. He grabbed everyone who was speaking badly about Haru and said, "This is the one who saved all of you, and you should respect him. While each of you was running away, he was the only one who stood his ground and fought bravely." It was obvious that Saki had changed a lot. After that, the principal asked everyone to be quiet, then presented Haru with the 1 million prize, in addition to a manuscript considered part of the Academy's heritage. Haru thanked him for everything, but before he could finish speaking, the alarm bell rang and the whole place began shaking violently. Unfortunately, things were even worse than anyone had expected. The alarms announced that rifts were about to open immediately. Everyone was shocked. How could this be happening? The academy was supposed to be protected, but reality was completely different. Gates opened everywhere, and huge numbers of monsters came out of them. They began attacking the students violently and killing them one after another. Within moments, the place was filled with screams, and everyone started trying to run away. The principal quickly intervened and attacked the monsters, and the other teachers did the same. Among them was one teacher who attacked a monster with his sword. But the shocking thing was that the monster was not affected at all, even though it was level 15 and the teacher's level was higher than that. In the blink of an eye, the monster struck the teacher with a powerful blow that hurled him into the wall. Then it began speaking, saying that its species constantly evolves its physical abilities. But it was unable to finish speaking, because Haru suddenly ambushed it and struck it with his sword, completely shattering it. Haru's power had truly become legendary. At that moment, everyone began running away while Haru stayed behind to fight the remaining monsters. Then it was the turn of the monster that looked like a chicken. Haru was not alone on the battlefield. Tara and Saki were with him as well. And so the battle erupted. Haru rushed forward at incredible speed, moving right and left and inflicting serious wounds on the monster. Then he left the final blow to his friends so they could raise their levels. This time, it was Tara who delivered the finishing strike, and it became clear that she had developed her combat abilities significantly. She activated lightning magic, struck the monster, and killed it. After that, the three went outside, only to find that the monsters had completely overrun the area. Without warning, two of them attacked Haru. But attacked who? This was Haru. He easily blocked their attacks, then used fire magic and killed them within seconds. Afterward, he saw two students calling for help, so he reassured them. But at that moment, another monster noticed him and appeared behind him in the blink of an eye. Still, Haru dodged skillfully and the battle began. He exchanged blows with the two monsters and managed to wound the first one. As for the second, which looked like a wolf, Haru attacked it too, but the beast caught the sword between its fangs. At that moment, Saki intervened and split the monster in half. As for the first monster, when it saw what happened, it panicked and tried to run away, but Haru stopped it with fire magic, then let Tara finish it off. The performance of the three was truly incredible, and both Saki and Tara's levels rose significantly. The remaining students were shocked by what they had seen. Haru told them to run quickly to the shelter. Then he left the area. At that moment, Tara sensed that Haru was worried, so she asked him why. He told her that the number of monsters was simply too great, and that even if they kept fighting, they would eventually die because of the overwhelming number of enemies. In other words, they needed to find a radical solution, or the consequences would be disastrous. The scene then shifts to the city, and the shocking truth is that it had become completely destroyed, with rifts and gates appearing everywhere. What was happening was like a real nightmare, and it was not limited to the academy alone. All the residents had fled to an underground shelter, except for Haru, Saki, and Tara, who remained behind fighting the monsters and managing to kill most of them. Afterward, Haru used the Eye of Truth skill and located the positions of the remaining monsters. Then he asked Saki and Tara to go to the area near the cafeteria, because there were some students there who needed to be rescued. Tara asked him what he would do. He told her that he would go fight the remaining monsters, and asked the two of them that after they rescued the students, they should take everyone to the underground shelter, and he would join them later. Saki and Tara agreed, and Haru left them behind as he headed toward the monsters. On the way, he asked the system how many experience points he had. The system informed him that he currently had 210,000 experience points. He could use them either to unlock a new character with different abilities or to upgrade one of his current characters. Haru thought for a moment and said that he had no time to unlock a new character and discover its abilities, so he asked the system to upgrade the Crimson Emperor character using all of the points, and that is exactly what the system did. Haru's speed increased, his fire magic became far stronger, new special skills were unlocked for him, and he reached a completely different level, a level worthy of the monsters themselves. After that, he continued on his way toward the monsters, and the first one to appear before him was the creature that looked like a horse, which had been terrifying the students and the female teacher. But Haru killed it in moments, then asked the teacher to take the students to the shelter. She agreed, while two girls standing nearby blushed deeply in admiration, saying that hero Haru had arrived and saved them once again. After that, Haru continued on his way, and by chance entered the Academy's magical tools storage room. At that moment, a girl from the Academy attacked him with ice magic, but he blocked the attack easily, then asked her why she was still there. That girl's name was Rima, but she told him, "It's none of your business why I'm here, and it would be better for you to leave." Haru asked her again whether she had any connection to the monster attack. She denied it completely and told him to leave. When he refused, she prepared to attack him, and he prepared himself as well. But suddenly, without any warning, the ceiling collapsed and a huge gorilla-like monster appeared. The monster tried to attack Rima, but Haru saved her at the last moment. Rima was surprised by what he did and asked why he helped her. He told her that his goal was to save people, not hurt them. Yes, she had been hostile toward him at first, but that was in the past now. Rima then told him that no matter what happened, he would never be able to defeat this monster, because it was level 45, a demonic beast that could not be beaten. But Haru replied with complete confidence, "Don't worry, it won't be difficult." Rima was astonished by his confidence, but the battle had already begun. Haru attacked with all his strength, dodging the monster's blows right and left and hitting it repeatedly. Rima also helped him in the fight. Together, the two of them performed amazingly and managed to reduce part of the monster's energy. At that point, the beast became furious and began smashing the ground while roaring violently. Rima seized the moment and surprised it with ice magic, attacking with great speed and skill until it could no longer tell where the next strike would come from. The monster tried to kill Rima, but she moved away easily. At that exact moment, Haru appeared behind it and struck it with his sword, causing its life energy to drop dramatically. The monster exploded with rage and began attacking the two of them without pause. But the pair moved with astonishing coordination, so much so that the monster could not hit either of them. During the battle, it grabbed several boxes and threw them all at Rima, and because of their number she was almost hit, if not for Haru saving her at the last second. However, the monster used that opportunity to grab Haru. But Haru escaped from it easily, then seized his sword and rained blows on the beast, inflicting severe injuries to its face and body. Even so, the monster gathered the last of its strength and rose again. Haru attacked it, and it attacked him too, and their movement skills were truly incredible. But in the end, the monster managed to grab Haru and was about to kill him, if not for Rima stepping in and attacking it with ice magic. With incredible speed, Haru grabbed his sword and delivered a finishing strike that cut through the monster's body and ended its life. At last, it died. Afterward, Haru asked Rima if she wanted his help getting out of the place, but she told him not to worry. Then she used teleportation magic and disappeared immediately. After that, Haru switched to the Moss character, and the robot appeared, saying that this storage room contained real treasures, but Haru replied that they had no right to take anything from this place. The robot insisted, saying that they had to collect these treasures. Suddenly, Haru received a notification from the system about an extremely severe danger. So he used the Eye of Truth to see what was happening, and the shock was overwhelming. He discovered a level 55 monster heading toward the underground shelter where the students, residents, and everyone else were hiding. Haru rushed there at full speed, and indeed, the monster had already arrived and started trying to attack the people. But Haru intercepted it. The real shock came when he saw it. It was the same monster that had fought his mother. the one she had sacrificed herself to destroy, and yet it was still alive. What's more, the monster itself spoke and told Haru that his courage resembled that of a foolish woman it had killed long ago, and it was referring to Haru's mother. Those words made Haru explode with rage. He charged forward and struck with his sword, severing one of the monster's arms. But the monster counterattacked and wounded Haru in his arm as well. Then Tara stepped in and used healing magic on him, and Saki joined the battle too, one attacking from the front and the other from behind. But despite the repeated attacks, the monster was barely affected. Instead, it used a special secret skill of its own, targeting Tara and Saki specifically, and successfully took control of them. It forced Tara to heal its arm and made Saki attack Haru. Both of them were fully conscious, but their bodies were moving against their will. The battle continued, and the monster began landing heavy blows on Haru, who was no longer able to do much, because the monster was attacking him from one side and Saki from the other. On top of that, Haru did not want to hurt Saki. The fight went on, and Haru suffered numerous injuries. Even so, whenever an attack was about to strike Saki, Haru protected him and defended him. But do not think, my friend, that Haru was moving without a plan. He had already ordered the robot to create an antidote that would cancel the monster's control over his friends. It was only a matter of time. That was why he kept stalling, defending, and enduring. He did not run away. After a very long battle and repeated attacks from both the monster and Saki, Haru was still standing. So the monster resorted to another vicious trick. It attacked Saki, knowing Haru would rush to protect him. Then it exploited the opening and attacked Haru without warning. But even that was not enough. Still, the monster did not give up. It forced Saki to attack Haru again and severely wound him. Blood began pouring from Haru everywhere, while tears fell from Saki's eyes as he watched himself injure his friend. After that, Haru gathered the last of his strength and attacked with fire magic, seriously hurting the monster. But at that same moment, Tara healed it again. At the same time, the robot informed Haru that the antidote was ready. Haru quickly took it and gave it to Saki and Tara, and they were instantly freed from the monster's control. Tara rushed to heal Haru, while Saki went off to fight the other monsters that had reached the area. But because of their huge numbers, some of them still managed to slip past and head toward the shelter. Haru quickly chased after them and killed them, but at that moment he was barely able to remain standing. And as we know, Haru had been almost the only one fighting since the very beginning of the monster attack. So the monster exploited that weakness, rushed at him, and sprayed a sleep-inducing, hallucinogenic gas into his face. Then it struck him in the stomach and began stabbing him repeatedly. When Tara and Saki saw what was happening, they ran toward the monster to intervene, but it stopped them. At that moment, Haru had completely lost consciousness. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in his house, in his old small childhood form. He rushed outside and saw his mother preparing dinner for him just as she used to do in the past. He ran to her and hugged her, saying, "I missed you so much. Mom, I wished you had stayed with us. Truly, life without you is worth nothing." His mother replied, "Don't worry, I'm here." Then she seated him at the table and told him to eat and not to worry because they would spend all their time together. But Haru looked at her, and then came the shock. This was not his mother. He immediately realized that he was trapped in an illusion created by the monster. He gathered his focus and managed to break free from it. When he came back to his senses, he found that the monster had been on the verge of devouring him. At that moment, he heard a message from the system saying that he had fully upgraded the Crimson Emperor character, and that the maximum link feature had been activated. Haru's appearance changed completely, and his power rose to an entirely different level. He knocked the monster backward, stood in a legendary pose, then rushed toward it and pummeled it with absolute ease. His speed and power had exceeded all limits. Then he destroyed the barrier the monster had created, and without much talk, he attacked it with the Crimson Fire Star technique and finally killed it. At last, it was over. Afterward, the system informed him that he had received 200,000 experience points, in addition to many other rewards such as titles, endurance skills, and more. Haru then returned to his normal form and collapsed to the ground. But Saki caught him while Tara stood by his side. The two of them were extremely worried, So Haru told them, "Don't worry, I'm still alive." After that, the rest of the students and the principal came out of the shelter and began thanking Haru for saving them. They also apologized to him for all the wrongs they had done to him before. But did everything end there? Unfortunately, no. Haru received another notification from the system telling him that the last group of monsters was in a nearby area. So he immediately rushed there. When he arrived, he found a girl surrounded by monsters. It was true that her features looked familiar, but there was no time to think. He jumped down at once to help her and killed the first monster, then the second, then the third. But at the very moment he finished off the third monster, he was suddenly struck by someone, and here came the shock. It was that same girl, but she had transformed into a giant serpent-like monster after using the same injection the despicable doctor had used before. At that point, Haru connected the dots and realized that she was the same girl who had tried to save the doctor. That was why her face had seemed familiar to him from the beginning. Now, after taking the injection, her level had become 58. She began attacking Haru, who dodged all her strikes. Then she launched deadly poison at him, but he moved away and quickly created a powerful shield. The monster managed to destroy it, then she spread a dense fog everywhere to disorient Haru. A fierce battle began between them, blows from here, blows from there, and both of their levels were extremely high. Then Haru used the Eye of Truth and cleared away all the fog. At that point, the monstrous girl unleashed a storm, and Haru answered with a firestorm. Then, with difficulty, he transformed into the maximum link form, because his health was already very low. After that, the girl sent her snakes to attack him. But Haru ran with extraordinary skill and precision, jumping right and left until he caused those snakes to strike each other. Naturally, the poison spread among them, and with that, the girl was as good as dead. In her final moments, she said that she had wished to live a normal life. Then she died. And so, at last, it was over. All the monsters were dead. On the other side, Vivi was safe along with their father, and Saki and Tara were distributing supplies to the students and residents. Everyone was safe and in the best possible condition. As for our hero Haru, he stood alone and said that he knew the disasters were not over yet, and that there was a real reason behind everything happening. But he swore that if any catastrophe occurred at any time, he would be there to stop it, and that he would always continue fighting. And with that, we reach the end of the story.